Welcome, one and all, to Members Night Recap. I am joined by Sergeant Boosted and Gang. This show is dedicated to the Space Marines of Love on Laser Tag to promote inclusivity and friendly competition, both on site and around the Laserforce community. My name is Luke, codename Mischief. Who am I joined by tonight?
Josiah, codename Bagel.
Oh yeah.
I'm Slade, Dr. Feelgood.
I'm Joseph, or Sergeant Boosted.
I'm Jarrett, or Luke's son.
Confirmed. Tonight we're going to look at the Members Night game from last week. It's a real nail biter, and then we'll just talk about the level and player base and how last week went. So, look at these teams, everyone, as though we don't know what's going to happen yet. When you look at the Fire team, thoughts?
Buckle up.
Josiah playing scout.
That's gonna be a good one, dude.
Has a good backline with a bit of aggressiveness to try and support Azra, who's learning.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We I really like the portraits, Luke. The consistency is very professional looking.
Thank you.
Yeah, they turned out really well.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at this team and I see a really solid lineup all throughout. I know that Bagel, Dr. Feelgood, and Simply Okay have really good synergy. Like, their personalities mesh really well, and they actually, that's our defense from Syracuse 2021, quote unquote, Loveland's best lineup ever. LOL.
Still took fifth though.
We all hated ourselves after that tournament.
It was our best lineup ever.
It was
I don't know what to say.
It was.
Yep. Unfortunately, Laserforce scaled all the other teams with our leveling up.
Yeah.
We leveled up and everybody else also leveled up. It was terrible.
Yeah, if everyone could just stop growing so that we can get ahead, that'd
If
be
you
really
guys
cool.
could just
Well, that's why.
give us a sec.
Yeah. Well, the East Coast teams don't have a site anymore, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
What? The West
we have
Coast?
Syracuse.
Or West Coast, sorry, not East
Yeah.
Coast.
I was
Yeah, I
gonna
was
say,
gonna
you've lost your mind.
I'm just brain off.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
kind of held hostage in Syracuse and Detroit now.
Anyways,
Anyways. On
this
that
team looks
note,
delicious. It looks like it's gonna deal a lot of damage. Good resupplies. Up and coming
Definitely.
commander.
That's right.
Up and coming heavy. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I think the players, especially the 3 hits on this team, are really being tested in this game. As we mentioned, Azra's a little newer, but that doesn't mean that she is by any means unskilled. As you'll see, as
Stop her
she's
from
the one
winning,
wearing,
dude.
she's wearing the GoPro, and I was super impressed with this game with the consistent pressure and inventiveness that she was utilizing.
I have been pretty much every week consistently impressed by her improvements.
She is getting very crafty as a commander, and it's starting to challenge me, and I'm getting a little scared.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
we can
you-
talk about her a little bit after the game, but
You
like
and
I have
John had to decide to win that last game. Because
yeah.
Hey, I was
otherwise
just told
her
to
and
be
I
a
were...
pest.
Huh?
I was just told to be a pest, and that's what I
You-
did.
I got good news, Jarrett. You did it.
Whoop.
Anyhow,
Anyway.
back to this game.
Yeah.
Onto the green team.
On to the green team. We're doing our best not to make this an hour long, but no promises. Green team thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Also looks
The
strong.
father-son duo.
Yeah.
Jarrett
I know.
and James have got the
You-
serious pants on, dude. They're ready to rock.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that I am now only affirmed into the I need to cut my hair again. It just does not mesh with the beard.
No, I think you look great.
It's not a thing. But for the team, this is just designed to be a strong backline again with players who can support Jiroku, who is our other newer player who is trying to learn how to play several roles. And we are kind of beginning to put them into the deeper end of the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's starting to tread
Actually-
water on his own a little bit.
This is also a test for M1 Abrams. So
and
Yeah.
for Judoku, you know, we're figuring
absolutely.
out where everybody's at.
yeah. So this is a test of 3 hits.
For
is
those
what
who
this
don't
game
know,
is designed.
Judoku played medic on the Loveland C team at West Coast, and he did a really good job. But obviously, going to commander really pushes him to a different skill set. I think. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think Azra's a good matchup for him because they're both around the same level because they joined around the same time. And it seems like when they play one another, I only get to watch them improve further because they're trying to change what they're doing to each other, and that changes what they do to us. And so...
Yeah. It's the circle of life. I think the resupply, when I look at this team, is actually a really fun one because Luke's son is, by his own admission, an offense player, and he does not like being put on resupply, although I think he's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So you got kind of this picture of like a man holding like a rabid bulldog on a leash, and Joe's the man. So
There was no leash to that. That was all good faith.
like, oh, back boy.
Yeah. Jarrett, come.
Jared,
And-
stop pushing by yourself and get back here.
Like you're
As he's
talking
on the
about
second floor,
backline. I really see a defense here where Sergeant Tucker is going to be calling the shots and applying, like really just making it hard to take out this backline and send the team running.
That was the idea. Emphasis on was.
I don't even remember this game.
Sammy made that a little harder.
I definitely watched it at least 3 times.
I've watched it a couple too.
It's pretty good. Should we get into it? Any final thoughts?
Both teams look awesome. I do want to say though, your portrait, I don't know what it is about the way that you're looking into the camera, but have you ever seen those like paintings, like those background filters, you know, for like Facebook?
It looks like paint daubs in behind me. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it kind of looks like almost 2D. It's cool.
Yeah. So I think it's just the focus blurred a little bit, which was kind of on purpose.
It looks awesome.
I do like the 3 serious faces with the 2 smirks.
Definitely.
Yeah, the top line is ready to get it,
Yeah.
and you guys
As
are
we're
ready
gonna
to
find out.
play some laser tag.
Yeah. We're going to teach some kids.
Oh yeah.
Gonna play.
Alright.
I'm
Let's
just
go.
excited to play some Scout.
Yeah. So to also emphasize for those who haven't seen this video, our hazer was freaking out. And so it is going to look almost like a horror movie when we're on 3rd floor.
Oh yeah. But I think it makes it look
Because-
so much more intense.
Yeah, it makes it look way more intense. But the other issue it creates
Lasers
is
already
the
getting shot
IR.
across.
Yeah, the IR does not go from end to end.
Right. You couldn't
was-
do
I was
sniper
so
shots
mad,
quite as
dude.
easily.
I was getting so mad.
So Azra's already pushing into the back line.
Yep.
Jarrett, and so you take her out. Abrams turning around, dealing with both Dr. Feelgood and Azra at the beginning.
Yeah,
Both
he did a
teams
good
kind of at
job keeping.
standstill.
He did a really good job keeping me and Jill alive at the start of that game.
Yeah. And
James
so something else that
Mach 5.
Yeah, and something else that had happened is I tried to do bases to start, and so Josiah was down there, so I lost a life to begin, and I had to come up before I could even get bases, so now I'm going back down to get them because Josiah's ran by and Sammy is pushing,
Right.
and so
Yeah,
this
you're
is
right. You're gone there.
yeah,
Sammy pushing pretty hard. Dr. Feelgood pushing pretty hard. So it feels like the green team's just on their back heel right now, trying to
didn't-
hold their side.
I didn't realize that I made the game that weird.
yeah, it made it kind of awkward because we were planning to get aggressive to start, but then we couldn't because Jarrett had to come help me.
You had to do 2 ramp runs. That sucks.
Yeah.
Both teams are really just holding their side. I feel like we're just dueling, heavy versus heavy, commander versus commander.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just could not beat James in a trade. He either shot me first
so
or we put each
dirty,
other
but
down.
I think that was legal.
It's
I
think if you go back, it's fine. Because I think he's firing deeper into the box, not into the wall that he's leaning around.
I meant legal, but mean.
Oh, yeah, it's rude. So this is something that I wanted to point out, though, that Sammy, I've noticed, and it's a couple of us, we'll start to raise our phasers to try and fire at people who are on rampways, and it kind of just invites the not being able to show two targets to someone who's ducked down.
Oh, I got him.
Yeah.
And then they go down the
And
ramp.
then,
You finally
Judah gets
got
at
him
you.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is where I kind of
save
let
the
Jarrett
game from
loose.
Judah.
Yeah, this is where I let Jarrett loose.
Well, here I come up to help out the heavy, and so we start to double push on Slade.
I was so mad. I beat James in a single trade, and then your ass was on the third floor, and I had to deal with you two. I was like, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like we weren't making much progress on the middle floor. I was
This is a little
concerned about
dirty.
how easily we could have gone downstairs.
So that was a little surprising that you were able to get two there. I don't know what was going on. Usually Slade's a little faster about it. I don't
I'm
know if
just
it
a
was the
cheater,
fog.
man. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I was dealing with James, who was
Oh.
fucking crackhead. I just could not beat him.
Yeah.
At
Straight
this
up.
point, red
Yeah,
is
I
all
wasn't fast
pushed
enough.
into the box.
Like,
Well,
I had 1,000 points.
Yeah. So at this point, Abrams has come back with like no resupplies.
Which is basically why I'm up there. I'm giving him a chance to resupply.
You do kind of a
And-
3-minute check-in. You look at it, and it is an even game.
Yeah.
It didn't feel even. It didn't
And
feel as even as it should have.
Sammy is getting a lot fuller than Jidoku is. But Jidoku's in the process of doing it now, but Sammy's already ahead on that. But they're pretty even on tags. Jidoku's only up one tag over her. Two now. But, you know.
I'm sorry, Luke. I didn't mean to do that.
Do what?
I just like
That was another thing that kept happening. The second I would actually win a trade, I'd get over to the other side and everybody would be gone. There was just nobody to shoot.
Yeah, Sergeant Tucker was pretty much playing from the ramp and not trying to move up until we completely had third floor, it seemed.
Yeah. My goal was to be
there
out of
goes
sight, out of
Jared.
mind as much as possible. Yeah, there he goes.
There goes our scout, Jarrett.
So yeah, this was really awkward because I was just like, oh no, she's right there. Go away.
All right, at this point, it looks like Red's really winning. Both three hits are up, kind of sandwiching us.
I ain't doing shit for the fun box. I don't know what you're talking about, Luke.
Someone's on the top floor there.
Yeah, somebody's
Must
doing
be
their job.
M1A Abrams.
Wasn't me.
Can we take a moment to
no.
appreciate
Yep.
the medic on the top
See.
of the scoreboard?
You mean my two
Shows-
bases? Which I'd like to raise you my 800 points without bases. Okay.
I'd like to raise you Ben's negative 20 points.
he got shot once.
Yeah, he got hit
Still.
one time.
Yeah. But
Still,
that
a lot
means
of
he's not
medics don't have
shooting
that
anyone.
score by the end of the game.
Yeah, there's no way. He's gonna get bases or something. He'll shoot one person probably.
Hey.
So,
All right, the double
So, yeah.
push finally got in on Dr.
So this is
Feelgood.
this is where finally I decided to come upstairs, is because we have this
M1A.
awkward moment where I can hear you all calling that they're leaving, and as that begins, this happens where Sammy comes over and Josiah is with her, just pushing on us, right? And so I go, oh, it's time to go.
Looks like Judoku came in and kind of cleared them out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, I kind of pulled Judoku in and went, if you shoot once, I can finish. Just
Yeah,
what you need
Azra
to.
going off here. Meanwhile, I'm keeping your team going down the ramp there.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm fucking losing. Thank God at least one of us was doing something. Because
Yeah.
it was not me.
So it just so happened that we were taking top, but your team was only taking the closet.
Yeah, and Azra has caught up on tags now, which is like we were saying, she's gotten really crafty with the way that she plays, and it's made it really hard to try to keep her slowed down because you have to now actively work to do it. Which is good. It's a sign of very strong improvement. It's no longer just Oh, we'll be able to slow her down. We have to actually focus on it now.
Yeah. Red's downstairs. I immediately go down and I'm screaming out your location. But looks like
Yeah, we
Simply
didn't
Okay
get a
is
second to breathe.
completely going off. You're doing a good job. There's 2 tags out of Dr. Feelgood. Azra's getting full.
So yeah, at this point we had M1 back, and Jarrett was filling him up because both of them are full on lives, and so this is where something awkward occurs, if I recall.
This is so big. This is an instructive moment coming up. So you'll notice M1A Abrams, the heavy, is completely full. There's nothing for him to do on top floor, so I almost can't blame him for what's about to happen. But
So he comes down,
M1A, yep.
and the call out goes that he is now downstairs, and they realize Jodoku is also downstairs, and now I have a Josiah upstairs as
And
John
a
comes
Simply
up the
Feel
other
Good
ramp.
upstairs.
Yeah, so Josiah comes up one ramp, John comes up the other, and between the two of them, they get every one of us
And
down because we don't have a
Closet.
3-hit.
Look at all the red on the scoreboard. We are getting massacred.
Yeah.
Everybody
You're
but
screaming,
James.
"Come back up!"
Yeah.
Everybody but James is getting massacred.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, yeah. You guys had such good coverage. There was no space for us to keep footing on the top floor there.
Yeah, and so I had snuck away over into the fun box, so I was no longer getting hit. This was awkward because I wanted to get John, but because of the trail he made, I couldn't, so I ducked down so I couldn't be hit from third. And I have no idea how I win this trade, genuinely.
That was really good play on your part, Joe, like to grab the heavy and take a corner and just hole up there while the chaos ensued around you.
Well, and so another thing I think that's going to come up is I think we have this weird miscommunication where you're telling me to go to the exact place that I'm already in. I'm just like, oh, I'm
How
already
did
here.
James get away with
I
that
had
there?
With
See-
what?
He just
The
ran in
missile.
on everybody with their lights on and missiled everyone. Like, what the hell is that?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, there was a point in that
Oh,
where I
my
got
medic's dead
completely
and I have 2
separated from
lives.
Joe.
Yeah, so, and then Sammy's about to do this back, so I'm already dead. I've hooked it up. John's going to hit me once, I think, and I die. And
He had
Yeah.
a triple nuke from Azra. Pretty good,
to
honestly.
the double
and
nuke of
he has-
Jodoku.
He
Yeah.
has no idea that you're
And this
missing him.
this is dude,
Oh,
dude. And you can even hear him in the video go, oh.
It doesn't win us, though. It almost did.
No, it's so
this gets
close.
There I go.
insanely close. So this
Red is
trade
in the
becomes
lead right
incredibly
now.
important because James hits this, Luke hits Azra, Jarrett
I was so mad.
and Judah both hit a target, and it gives us the win by 2 tags, which is nuts.
Yeah, I clawed my way up that hill and it wasn't good enough.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also, Simply is missing a base, and Abrams is also missing a base, but
No, James
2 bases.
outscored me by 2,000 points.
I think it's
1,000.
1,000
It's,
after a base.
it's too much. He outscored me by too much.
Yeah. And, you both have
I
the
just-
same
I
amount of
don't know, I
missiles,
just
so
couldn't
you were
fucking shoot
utilizing
him.
them. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
it's impressive to see, like we were saying, we were trying to test out the 3 hits. It's impressive, like I said, to see Jodoku and Azra kind of face off with one another, because the way that they play is just very different from one another. Whereas Sammy's trying to get angles, Judah is trying to find targets to attack, right? And Sammy almost likes to lay like traps and then assault people once she gets someone.
Yeah, I told her she's a lot like Troy in his play style. She says she doesn't want like the attention on her. She's looking for really backstabbing opportunities.
Yeah.
And that worked really well with Dr. Feelgood, just the constant pressure up top. I think a few more one trades and we would have been the ones on the bottom floor.
Yeah. There were a couple of dicey
a 15-minute
moments.
game would have looked. We would have elimed.
Yeah, I think because Judoku would have gotten another nuke, it would have killed Bagel and put you 2 to crit, And then
Sammy
the problem
has
would have been
almost 20
Sammy
lives,
versus
dude. It
the
wouldn't have
world.
mattered.
Yeah.
If we were on a 15-minute game, we would have elimed.
Yeah, it would have been Sammy versus the world and how well Abrams and Luke's son do with the shield reset, but it's very likely that we get eliminated there.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, and in terms of like things to correct, there's not a huge amount, right? Just kind of small communication things.
I would
I think
actually.
there's some stuff, but
I beg
go
to
ahead.
differ. I'm gonna say something huge. All right. So this is
Go
a
ahead.
classic blunder. Okay. This happens in all arenas in SM5 all the time when people get really excited and they're playing 3 hits and they get full. Sometimes they go, okay, me and the commander are gonna attack at the same time and we're just gonna kill them, right? But what actually happens is you both attack at the same time, they don't die, and the moment that they realize that there's 2 people, they're just going to teleport onto your resupplies.
Yep.
The scouts are
I
just
had an
going to
ammo
be
shoot me
there.
3 times.
I, like, literally, James went down, and then it took me about, like, 5 seconds before I was like, okay, like, I know where I'm going.
And that's another thing is you and John made the same play at the same moment upon realizing through the communication that Judah and James were both downstairs. And one of the things, because I remember very, very clearly in that game, is what we told James is tell Judah to come upstairs now because I knew that we needed to not have both there. So I don't know if it was just not said or...
Well, you don't necessarily want to just straight up blame the 3 hits for the situations caused, you know, because in theory, like, it's still a 3v2 and you guys should have been okay.
Yeah.
Right. In that kind of circumstance. But because we were attacking you and being aggressive and all sorts of stuff, there was a little bit of fluster.
This man here is naive.
But I feel like you want to talk about your experience dueling with Hamez on the top, Dr. Feelgood. Like, what do you think you could have done better? And what did Hamez do right?
He's just faster than me. Like, I think it's cope to blame it on the hazer. But I had so many issues getting tones, like locking on people and stuff. Like, I would come around the corner and I wouldn't even get a tone. I'd pull the trigger, the phaser would whiff, and then I'd just get shot. And I couldn't even trade with him, you know? I'd just come around and I'd go down and then I'd go back. And then I'd get a resupply. And then I go over there and I shot and I go down and I come back. Like, I wasn't scoring any points. I wasn't doing any damage. I don't know if I wasn't fast enough. I don't know if, like, I don't know. I don't know what was going on. I just couldn't hit my shots.
I've been in your shoes many times, and I think it can be super frustrating in game, and like you
I
don't
was
know
super mad.
how to like correct it when it keeps happening.
Well, what I needed to do was take the Caleb glasses off and start going up the other ramp instead of just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
What does that
Honestly,
And like right there, I
Yeah.
could have shot him. I could have shot him right there if I had just gone around the ramp. But I was scared and I was like, whoa, I don't know where he went. Instead of just going around the corner and committing to what it was that I was doing, I would go up to that half wall and then I'd like stop right to try and take him out. But instead, what would happen is James would just fold in half onto the ground and I'd come around the corner and bop. You know, like
I hear you. Something can I give you something that has helped me a little bit?
Sure.
Josiah does this to me constantly. It's like he knows I'm going to run in, or I'm going to stop and then I'm going to run in. And what gets me is he's being unpredictable, but I'm not being unpredictable.
Even though I'm trying, yeah.
Right. Like, he still knows my height. He knows when I'm going to come in, and he can fold his body in half, and I totally missed the shot.
Yeah, I just can't hit
or
him.
it's at least a trade.
See, in this,
So
I finally shot James, and I got shot from somewhere else. Like, I felt like it was me versus the world on the floor. And I couldn't stop doing what I was doing because I felt like it was me versus the world. So I felt like if I tried doing something else, we were just going to lose what little ground that we had.
Yeah. And
So what might have helped? I'm sorry. One more thing.
no, go ahead.
Hamez wasn't attacking you. I feel like he
No.
was in total turtle mode.
Well, that's what
So
I mean. I should have
you
started hitting him from another angle.
If you went onto the ramp and even like helped out Azra, Like if you got onto switchback for just a moment and took that risk, I think you could have gotten maybe Judoku down, and then suddenly Azra's wiping out our team.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what I mean. And I've been reflecting on not just this game, but the very last game of the night, where I think I had like a 1900 point heavy game with both my bases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Sammy and I synergize well as 3 hits. Like straight up, we just don't. I don't know why, but she's never where I need her to be when I want her there, and I'm never where she needs me to be. I don't know what it is. I think it's because she has that more like less aggro Troy kind of play style. But I like every time Sammy and I have been 3 hits, it doesn't matter if I'm commander and she's heavy, or she's commander and I'm heavy, we lose. And it's because we don't make plays together. Because like I never know where she is.
I don't know, maybe.
And I don't think that she's played with us long enough to really know what I'm doing, you know, so she can't play around me. And it just creates this really disjointed 3-hit scenario where I'm not doing anything.
I just will say, like, I think you're right that if this was 15 minutes, you probably would have won.
Yeah, but this is an outlier. This was the best that Sammy and I have ever done together as 3 hits. Which is fine, because like I like playing with Sammy, but I need there must be a better role that I can play to support her and vice versa. Like I love playing 3-hit when she's my resupply, you know, and I like playing resupply with her as my heavy. But both of us on the roll for whatever reason just does not jive.
I think there's room for you two to like coordinate and synergize, like maybe build out more of a strategy. Right. Because she's for me, she's been willing to like, if I say, hey, you should attack from this angle, or hey, I'm going to be over here, like she does. I think she synergizes well with other players, which I think is a strength of hers. I'm a little surprised by that, because I feel like if you were a commander and she was a scout, you would be like a loud attacker and she would be like a silent sniper.
Probably.
I
don't know that we've ever tried that lineup.
But I feel like whatever you can do with
this game,
whatever you can do with Troy, I feel like you'll be able to do with her.
That's what I mean, though. I don't think that Troy and I synergize well as 3 hits either. Yeah. Troy is my kryptonite in a lot of ways. Like, as long as I know where he is and what he's doing, I can put him down pretty consistently. But if I take my focus off of him, he ruins my life.
Yeah.
That's on the other team, obviously. But like I just
gotcha.
See, like she's over here making you guys run around. It's like losing my mind over here. Like what am I fucking doing?
Yeah. And to Josiah's point earlier, I don't want to make it seem like I'm...
Because I can't shoot James, she can't get in. And because she can't get in, I can't do any damage. Like, it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I played the whole game from that box. That's why we lost.
To Josiah's point, I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming the 3 hits, because there definitely was more that we should have done. Because, as a good example, the previous week, there was a moment where Josiah, as a 3-hit, went upstairs, got Ben once, and the team was so spread out, there were no resets, right? Whereas, not only did we lose the 3v2, we were so together, we got reset probably, I think I lost 3 lives just to John, right? Because we were too close to one another and not spread out enough, and we didn't know, Josiah had come up red. And I was able to find out John came up blue the hard way. And so, yeah, it definitely was kind of more like team practice. That is something we should have been a little more aware of was... And actually, I think, looking at it now, I think Judoku was upstairs. Because I think Abrams is going to go in, and we just resupplied Judoku.
So the way that top-down arenas like this work is your heavy is really in charge of keeping your space under control, right? Making sure that everywhere that they could run up and like attack your resupplies, at least has eyes on it, you know? And the heavy weapons in situations where they're full needs to stay upstairs until certain scenarios are kind of fulfilled, where like either multiple people come back for resupplies. Like if there's 2 scouts upstairs, you can pretty reliably go downstairs and attack with your commander for like a couple runs.
Also, shout out to Daniel's finger, by the way.
Ayo.
Yeah, and so there was definitely room for improvement. Sammy gets a missile in me there. John hit me once, but Sammy missiled me, which is problematic. I get John here. I use James to try and reset, realize that he's made a trail too far, and so I can't go in and shoot him, so I wait to let him come up and then let him out so he can go away. But yeah, it definitely felt awkward for a decent portion of the game. Jidoku nukes here twice, and then Azra throws 3 right back at us, and I was like, oh, we're in a bit of a bind here, gentlemen.
But I'm so glad Judoku threw out his nukes first. I think that was really smart and good timing.
Yeah.
And good. I want to shout out M1 Abrams for capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
He pushed them off third.
I would also like to point out, it is awesome. We don't have a whole lot of recorded games of it, but we do have one of his earliest games of him joining us for when he was 10, when he started playing. And
yeah, dude.
The change we have kind of gotten to watch this kid go through is awesome. This is kind of a blunder moment, but
we could dedicate a video to Abrams.
It wasn't enough. Like, you'd say that he blundered, but like you guys still won.
Yeah,
because he beat my ass.
Yeah,
I had 6,000 points with bases, dude.
Yeah.
He had 5,000 with no bases, and you know why he didn't have bases? Because he didn't need to go downstairs, because he was too busy beating my ass into the ground.
The one time he did go downstairs was to hunt you guys because we ordered a swap.
Yeah,
and we messed up the swap. So, and again, you know, it was an incredibly close game. Like, this was insanely close in terms of how I thought it would be. Right. Genuinely, when I made this game, I thought we were at a bit more of a disadvantage, and as the game began to play out, I was actually really impressed with everyone, honestly, across the board on both teams, because it felt, you know, very much that both teams were doing several things correctly, and both teams had several things they could improve upon, which made it easier, you know?
I never got missiled, but I also didn't shoot the medic at all. Compare that to James's 6 medikits.
Yeah.
So MVP of the game goes to Simply Okay here.
Yeah, the 2 medikits he has, right?
5,
yeah. He got aggressive towards the end. It was rough. But
also on me,
the reason that game was as
9-3
close as it was is because John did what he did.
Shout out to Jarrett and I having the same MVP. Literally the exact same.
Let's go.
Resupply duos.
Me and Luke had the exact same too.
Hey.
Oh yeah. No, and it's good, you know, looking across the board, good hit diffs pretty much all around. Things to improve upon for sure. It was definitely a game to make the commanders struggle with the scouts that they were facing, and that kind of became the result, where I wanted to see what they would do when they had a scout who was going to shoot them a lot,
and a heavy that was going to shoot them a lot.
Yeah. Well, 91 accuracy, nice.
James shot people a lot. I didn't.
91.8.
James shot me a lot.
I got missiled by Sammy.
Even the MVP differential is just pathetic. Like, maybe I'm just being hard on myself, but I feel like this is kind of something that I articulated a couple months ago when I had that big heart-to-heart with the group chat, where I just feel like I should be better than I am. Like, I've been playing for so long, and I've gone to so many tournaments, and you know, people always bring up my games like, oh, well, the difference is you have 500 games and we have 3,000. It's like, sure.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Like, I'm on the A team, and I feel like I can reliably play every position, but I also just feel kind of shown up every single game by everybody else. Like, when we're discussing stuff, like even at tournaments, so we're discussing things. Oh, how did that game go? You did this really well. You guys did this really well. You can work on this. And I always feel like I'm kind of the one person that's never handed a compliment because I'm just not doing anything like exceptional.
A big reason why you're put in positions like that, though, is because you're good at the game, good enough at the game that you represent a specific level, right? And when people are playing, there's a lot of fluctuation, you know? And so when you're considering some like a bar, basically, you want to have like an average consistency, right? Which means for the people that were testing against you, it's ultimately because you're at that specific level, right?
And I'll openly share this. When I initially made this team, I shared it with with Luke. I didn't actually show Josiah. And the first comment Luke had was, "Can James actually play against Slade?" And the answer that came out of my mouth was, "I don't know. I don't think that he's got it, and this is going to be his test. Can he challenge Slade?" Right? Because I didn't think that it would. And it's still like, even though, you know, you feel like you got just smacked around by him, he never really had like a huge impact because, like we said, he was turtling.
I mean, like, I was definitely stopping him from doing what he was doing,
Exactly.
but I also wasn't able to do anything.
Yeah, and sometimes
I just felt like what's that Doctor Who's, or the Dr. Seuss story with the two things that are just like forehead to forehead, and neither one of them will move. That's kind of what this whole game felt like.
And I kind of think of how I've had discussions with some people in League, which is sometimes you're not going to be the carry, and sometimes you need to be. And it's okay to be the person who's just helping, right? Because you weren't, you know, bleeding out everywhere. You weren't losing your team a ton of lives or being reset fodder, things like that. You know, and you were stopping him from being able to come in when he was trying to come in. And then when Mischief swapped off, you were stopping Mischief from coming in to then do that.
Luke got in on me so many times, and as a 3-hit, that should not occur ever. It doesn't matter who's playing Scout.
It did look like 2 of the times Luke came in was during a resupply, and so like that's just timing.
What I will say, as far as I've played with you in a tournament as both of us being 3 hits, you respond to communication between both 3 hits very well. When we would do that, when you would have like communication between like me and you at games, you would do exceptional because you always knew where I was and I always knew where you were. So you just felt comfortable and confident.
Right, which is something that I don't feel when I'm playing with Sammy, which is kind of why I brought that up.
And I would say,
and that's because she plays on that minimal communication play style because she doesn't want to give away where she is, right? Like John, everybody in the game on both teams know where John is at all times.
yeah, James and Jarrett too,
And Jarrett and James, yeah. And that's just kind of the play style that we have. I also feel like I'm probably kind of that way too. It's hard to. I'm an unreliable witness of myself, you know, but
you give out good communication, in my opinion.
yeah.
You give out great communication. We wouldn't have won half the games we did at the tournament if you weren't telling me where you were or anything.
Right. Because it is important to me. In fact, I think it's the most important thing. But it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess I'm just disappointed in myself that with that,
All right,
not just with that game, but with that.
I want to say something. I'm just pulling up some games, and games particularly where you stomped for example, where you doubled the rest of your team's MVP in this particular medic game.
You mean the game where he had 31 MVP as a medic compared to the next highest being 11?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're a little self-aware. Like, you might not be the best judge of yourself, and I think you tend to be rather absolute in your way of thinking.
For sure.
Like taking this one game sample size and like making all these comparisons to synergy with the 3-hit, or you're dueling with James this one particular game. I mean, I get it. There was definitely a period where I had kind of that mindset of, well, I didn't win, so it wasn't good enough, and I can always improve, and maybe I spread that to you a little bit. There's a
no, that's a thing.
It's definitely not.
I come by perfectionism, honestly.
Just so I can tell you, I would say that all the time, probably around the 2019 days especially. And you gotta take into context the whole game. Like, all 12 players, the whole 15 minutes, and like, plays happen that changed the course of the game to where you could be doing fine and like someone else on your team fails at their job and everything goes downhill. Or you can have bad games. I mean, at the last West Coast, I dropped a negative score playing heavy at one game because I just got pooped on, and I could have done so many things better, and it all, like, every worst case scenario happened. Kodama just killed me in like 60 seconds. And you know, there's a lot I can learn from that, but like me, Mischief, the player, it's just an ever-evolving potential of what could be, because I keep changing, and it's more like, it's not like I'm going to be the same every game. It's like I'm a dice with a certain amount of outcomes on it, right? You can always roll the nat 1, you can always roll the nat 20.
Yeah.
Maybe this all isn't super helpful, so I want to say a couple nice things about you, and maybe some other people could. I have said to you a couple times, I don't know that like defense is your role. I think you're really good at it, but the ways you're good at it are when you like take over a game and stomp everybody out from heavy ammo and medic. That feels like something that like commander mains do really well. And I just have this memory of you getting absolutely plastered in a game of Dungeons and Dragons back in Syracuse and becoming freaking Conan the Barbarian for 30 minutes.
Was this the mythical DK hiding out in the lobby game?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have the scoreboard anywhere, but Slade was the top player in that game.
I was a bottle of Ciroc deep, and I showed them all whose arena that was.
And part of that might have been that the intoxication might have helped. Like, you weren't getting in your head. You were just murdering people. It
loosened me up a little bit, for sure. There was a game the day before the West Coast tournament when we were practicing, and I came over from Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was a little destroyed. Mm-hmm. And I was having a blast, and I was playing out of my mind.
And you gotta have fun.
I'm a very serious, passionate person.
Oh, totally.
I like to do well. And I not because I think I have anything to prove to myself, but because I want to do well for other people. I don't want to let the team down. Mm-hmm. And I definitely feel like I let Sammy down that game.
Now all you can do with it is learn from this game and try to do better next time. It's okay to lose. I mean, if the green team lost, we'd still be okay, right?
I know. I think the reason that it upsets me though is because you guys were gassing me up, and you can see here, like I'm pretty gassed. I'm getting,
oh yeah, you're gassed.
I'm getting John in the headspace. I'm hyping him up, you know, because you guys are all like, "Whoa, can James hold his own against Slade?" And then he just like fucking mopped me.
Well, I just don't know that getting hyped up is always helpful. And I have pretty much told Josiah that if we ever do another tournament, I realize how much I get in my own head in finals, and how like much my ability to play goes down because I feel the pressure. Like I'm not the same player that I am on day one when I'm like, oh, it's okay if I lose.
Right.
I have the freedom to make mistakes and be creative, you know?
And I also want to point out, like, one of the big rages I have had recently is I can no longer 1v1 John. It's just not a thing anymore, right? No. And it's reached a point where John, James, and Josiah in particular have figured out how to just, like, remove bones from their body and bend in ways that make no sense. And we didn't catch it on camera this game, but James did something that Josiah does, which is right by that ramp, bent over in half with it. And I was just like, I don't understand how your spine doesn't snap. Right? And that makes trading so much harder for, I think, you and I
makes
especially.
It nigh impossible.
Yeah, because
I would come around the corner, and James would be in an inhuman grudge-like position, and my gun just would not tag.
Well, and not
it
only
was
that,
completely legal because I can see almost all of the lights on his pack, but he's just like in such a position that I just don't compute with it.
Well, and not only that, like the other thing
I have to find Pollux. He handed me his phone and then ran off. Give me a sec.
Yeah,
I will say the other thing for that is just it makes it really hard because they're always in a different position, right? It makes it impossible to know which contortion they're gonna do this time, right? Because even if you lean around the wall for a second, pull back and quickly go in that 1 second they might have changed how they're standing, and it's just it's bewildering to me.
You can tell when we play our lazy games where we've just ate.
Yeah, yeah, where the three of you are just like standing there and not like bending or anything. I do also want to point out, you know, it was brought up in the resupply a couple of times last week, but like a lot of the shots here look rather good to me. And maybe that's like the filming that we did makes it look better or something like that. But there's no like really awkward angles that we're taking. There's the one in Funbox that looks kind of dicey, but I know where he's shooting because he's not trying to shoot the person in the box, right? He's trying to shoot someone on red, so he's leaned all the way out. And while that looks incredibly painful, it's still a legal shot because he's presenting his shoulder and then his gun is on his chin. You know, can also, where he does this right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's legal.
And it's because he's trying to shoot. Yeah, he's shooting Azra, who is coming down the rampway, and you can see from that perspective. Actually, sorry, Azra was in there, so Azra was probably standing. I hope Joey was not firing straight down. I don't think it was. Because the way your gun was angled was up.
It was on the other side of the box, so I was just trying to get a cheeky one shot in, and then it failed, and I went, well, all right.
Yeah. And so, like I said, this is one of the big ones where she tries to shoot Daniel. And those are the shots that always worry me because our guns begin to come up, and I do this too, and it's something I'm trying to break my habit of. When we fire in an upwards angle, the natural belief is we should raise our gun just a little, but then if they're ducking, that makes the angle incorrect. Response. Yeah,
like
and
it's not even something that you think about. You have to actively think about it.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of shots where I like to see, in this one at least, where we're sliding out. There's one that Luke has on third that is really, really good. That's going to come up here in a minute when he swaps with Abrams. And you know, it just felt, compared to last week where we were getting just kind of picked apart, it felt a lot better to see this one.
Luke, if you rewind really quick, I can actually give a really big example of the shots that Joe's talking about. So this ramp way. So watch the way that Dylan pause it. Okay, so where Dylan is standing right now, this is a really weird shot because if you walk up to the wall with your gun pointed and your gun is anywhere above your shoulders, it will come over the wall blind. Because Dylan walked up and then went sideways, or Dr. Feelgood walked up and then sideways, he was actually perfect, right? Because when he walks up, there's no targets, goes to the right, leads with the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, and so even though it looks like he's got, as they were calling it, a rifle stance, since he goes sideways, the shoulder comes in vision first.
You know why I move that way?
Go ahead.
And West Coast, from where Jarrett was on the ramp, Arrowin Applesauce, she was also playing the heavy. I shot her, and she ran down the ramp about to where Jarrett was, and I was standing in a similar position, but not quite there, and I stuck my gun way up to missile her, and before she even started freaking out, I looked at the ref like, yeah, that was gross. Go ahead and hit me for that one.
Yeah.
And I have never made that mistake again, which
And
is
so if you
why
wanna-
I know exactly how to make that shot legal now.
If you want to go back a second, Luke, there's only 2 other examples I actually want to go over. So a little further. So this one, you coming in here is kind of awkward because of the cut, and it makes it look like the way you came in is, when you watch, it's going to look like the way you came in was with the gun on your left shoulder.
Are you still talking to me?
No, this is Luke.
Okay. Yeah, you can clarify.
Sorry, I thought I said Luke. And so go ahead and let it play through.
Oh, you're
'cause it's
talking to
going
me, okay.
Yeah, it'll cut, and so there. That makes that just, and so maybe that's just a film thing. That just makes it look really sus how you came in there. But the realistic is you're trying not to target Slade, so your gun goes over him.
Yeah.
And
He's trying to shoot Ben behind me.
Yeah. And so, like,
Which-
it's not actually, it's technically, it could be a blind. It's just kind of dicey to raise your gun like that. But
But it's not, because we're all within 4 feet of each other.
Well, it's hard
Yeah,
because if you're
can I-
bounce shotting off of the wall, it's legal, right?
yeah.
Like line of
But I
sight,
like-
kind of just.
But it's like it's also illegal for Dylan to stand there if I'm trying to target Ben, and it's
Well-
illegal for me to hit Dylan.
So the way the wording
So
works, as
the-
I understand it, is if he's standing still, he's a wall. As long as he's not intentionally trying to block, right? So if, like, he's back to the wall, that's fine.
Did I?
Well, it's like Ben would have the advantage of being able to shoot through Slade,
Yeah.
and I would have to like go all the way around. So
And this has been a common problem in our arena.
This is just my way of making it look good for the ref. I mean, if I have nothing around me, even no matter where I put my gun, you have my targets all showing, like all 4 of
You
them.
can have your gun on top of your head if it's not blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm saying not targeting, and I'm making it look super like I am not targeting Slade. My gun is way over here,
Yeah.
just to make it look good for the ref, really.
Yeah. And then there's a shot I think
then
you
they
take
shoot
like
anyway.
10 seconds. Yeah, I think there's a shot you take like 10 seconds after this, which is the one I actually want to, like, that's probably my favorite shot watching. Because you're on Jarrett and I have a little bumpy boo because I'm running away from Josiah.
Bumpy boo.
And I'm running towards Josiah.
Yeah. And Josiah's like, no. No. So this shot that I think you're about, I think it's this one. And because Slade stands out in the open and you're going to try and challenge him right here. And this one looks really nice because you square up first and then you slide out. And, like, I think that's
So
what Steve
pretty.
is talking about. It's the next shot, I think, because I think he's going to go back, he's going to turn on, and you're going to try and hit him. Because you're already squaring like you're going to try and shoot him again, right? And so, you know, it did also feel like it was a much cleaner watch through. And maybe I just don't understand, but I don't
You
know.
don't
'cause-
understand anything, Joe.
Yeah, I know. That's why, like I told DK, I'm
You
boosted.
know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
know anything either, dude. It's all right.
Yeah. So here it is. Here it comes, I believe.
We're on the wall.
Here you go.
Yep.
And because you
Super
slid,
clean.
yeah, you don't get the hit, unfortunately. But that was super clean, right? But that's the idea. Is you're supposed to give the advantage to the defender, right, not the aggressor.
Well,
Well,
it
it
creates
just it
movement.
really wasn't a good shot. Like there are way I could have done my back break maneuver to try to get a good shot in.
Yeah.
I
So
just want it to look good for the
this
camera.
is probably the only one that will get slammed on, probably, is the fact that since your gun is still in front of you, they're going to be like, well, you're leading with your guns, it's going to come around the wall, but...
I really can't deny it, but if you think about it, I'm actually targeting John first, and he's over at the very end.
Yeah, because and so I know what you're doing is because you're trying to clear that back corner first and then lean in the rest of the way. Because that's how almost all of us attack it.
I cannot say that anybody in this chat, or frankly anybody in this game, has an issue with firing blind. And the picking apart frame by frame and going, this is a little sus that other sites do, pardon my French, can fuck off. Because
hold on. Whoa, that's a little uncalled for.
I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're
I watched,
and your arms are in front of you,
let's just not insult other sites.
I don't know. I think it's super protecting to us to constantly, because there's no way to come around a wall or a corner like as squared up as you can possibly be. The gun is going to come around first. It just is.
I hear you.
And all we can do is our best, which is what we do, to not cover other targets with it, and not like awkwardly.
I know. I want to say
around first. Like it's not possible to not do it.
Hi, John. We're actually talking about you right now.
Hey, dude.
Hey, John.
Kind of.
And we have a lot of people in that corner who would have said something if it wasn't. Because John's in there, Slade's in there, Ben is in there, Sammy's in there.
There's 4 of us in there.
One of them would have been like, whoa, that's not cool, you know?
But also, Luke is a good player and has been doing it for a long time. He's a clean player.
But I can still get a blind. I can still cheat unintentionally.
And
wait,
one of the things I think the
I just
camera
want to say
does not
that
help with.
I just want to say that I'm thankful for other people in the community participating in reviewing this video. I actually really appreciated. I presume you're talking about the resupply. They're, I think, the only people who've done anything. Yes, they did go through and basically focus on whether or not we followed rules throughout the entire game. Love you guys.
I also love you guys.
I enjoyed watching it. I was glad, and I have things that I could have improved on for sure. Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, they picked me apart in that one, but I loved it because it helped.
But
please, God, let me.
I know, but I'm trying to also talk over you.
I know you are. Let me. But you kind of dug me a hole and haven't let me get out.
All right, get out of your hole. Get out of your hole.
Yes, it's awesome that people are even willing to sit down and review our footage, but it also is super easy to go frame by frame and be like, oh, this could have been done better and whatnot. When you're playing, there's stuff that is totally illegal that we're not even going to notice, and it's not even going to have an impact. And that shot is not one of them.
Not one of them.
It is not one of them.
Right. I mean, if anyone knows me...
And like Joe keeps saying about the whole, it's just because of the angle of the camera, and all that kind of stuff also impacts. Like the thing with Jarrett leaning around the wall. That looks dirty as hell, but it's not because Sammy's on the other side of the wall. Don't see that.
Is this the one I helped record?
No,
that was last week.
that was last week.
Alex.
We also are probably in the wrap-up phase of this.
We really should wrap up soon.
Yeah.
We are over an hour, boys.
Ogre an hour.
Ogre an hour.
Over an hour?
We just passed the hour thrush mark.
I got a flight
didn't watch
7 a.m. boys.
I didn't watch the recap.
Well, good to see you.
But how long was the other one?
That was like 50
Jared,
minutes.
Thanks for watching
See
it
you,
with my
Jared.
friends.
Yeah. Thanks, Jarrett.
Have a good time, guys. Good luck this week.
Yeah.
See ya. Yeah. Well, I want to say that if I were... I am definitely not one to penalize people, just to be honest with you, even though I'm one of the more experienced players. And it's because I believe in the spirit of the rules. Right. I think if a player...
Intention is important.
Intention. If you pop your gun around the corner, I understand why we have the rules. And I think people who are focused on the rules are important because they keep the game fair.
Absolutely. But
so I think there's a place for that balance. But I wouldn't have called any of these shots, to be totally honest. If I were actually standing in the arena, and you just can't catch, you can catch it so much easier on video when you can play it back.
Right. You can sit there and you can rewind and we can slow it down frame by frame, etc. But I have kind of for the last few years been of the opinion that we've reached a point where we've min-maxed the rules to a point where you can actually kind of abuse them. And that is where it begins to annoy me. Like, the blind fire thing specifically just kind of grinds my gears in a way that I can't totally articulate.
I also think that a lot of these players are not at a stage where I am even going to tell them that I thought their shot was blind.
Right.
They're still figuring out if they like this freaking game, and I want them to stick around. And honestly, like, we've lost a lot of players to penalties because it just feels so strict to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, in a tournament setting, we don't really care. You have to follow the rules, and you have to abide by whatever the ref says. And I'm not saying we shouldn't teach players the rules. I'm just saying that I want this game to be awesome, and the rules tend, when you focus really too hard on them at all, they make it really an unenjoyable experience.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean by like min-maxing the rules to abuse them, like baiting penalties on people and stuff is just really shitty. And
Dude.
And that's what you're
so
talking
annoying.
about, the spirit of the rules, like if we're playing this, if we're even, you can't even play based on intention when people do stuff like that, and take advantage of new players and like, it just, I don't know. This might have struck a nerve with me in a way that I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
Let out,
Yeah.
but
You just sounded more opposed than I think you did at first.
yeah.
I don't know why I didn't quit playing the game after the West Coast that we had.
I genuinely thought that was gonna be the end of you, like straight up. I was just like, oh, he's not coming back after this.
That was fucking rough.
I had to play Commander against Scythe, dude.
I thought that was the end of John, which with where you've gotten to would have been a travesty.
Oh yeah.
Like, straight up.
I mean, I went to Cuse and got 0 penalties, so.
Yeah. And then I think you only got like 1 in our tournament we just held.
Yeah, I got 1. It was a unintentional shielding.
Yeah. I got 2 chases onto a medic in the same game by accident because she had massive trails downstairs.
Cringe.
And I cried.
Cringe.
Anyway, this was fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this game, and keep them brief?
GG's.
Yeah.
WP's. Till next week.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be putting one out this week, but yeah, until we get to do it again.
Yeah, we're not going to have one this week, but
Till next time.
I just want to shout out, I think Azra did a really good job with the attack on Closet, being very consistent and getting a lot of shots in.
Yeah.
Judoku had really good space control, and it did save the team when he shot down Dr. Feelgood from the big box area after he had won the trade.
Oh yeah.
And excellent job to M1A Abrams for just holding down the fort. Those are the 3 people I wanted to shout out. And look, I'll shout out Dr. Feelgood for just continuously improving. I know you're not as happy with yourself this game, but the growth is there, and I'll try to be more conscious about pointing it out to you when I see it.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
And I do also want to point out, the Azra and Jiroku matchup was really fun to get to witness, even as a resupply. Having Judah kind of being a little more conscious of what he was trying to do, as well as seeing Sammy, even if she wasn't always getting a hit into me, getting damage, right? She was always getting 1 or 2 of us at least, right? And she kept pulling our heads to the side because we kept having to be like, well, where's Azra? What's happening over here, right? And it almost got scarier when she left to get resupplied, because we were kind of having that, where are they? And it was nice to get to see. There's a scene you had captured where Jiroku runs up and double taps Azra as she's in a corner getting ready to defend herself. And, it's interesting because Jiroku was not that aggressive beforehand. they would be very much, they'd run at people, but they didn't really have a game plan. And this feels like a very clear evolution of, I've made a plan. I know what I'm looking for now, right? I know what I want to see done and what I want to get done. And, you know, it does feel like both of them have come a very long way from where they started. And I am vastly impressed.
Absolutely. All right. Simply okay. MVP of the game.
Yeah.
We're out. We're out.
You literally were, statistically.
Oh, yeah, you were. You were, John.
Crazy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.